So the thumbnail of this video is a little bit clickbaity, but it was inspired by a conversation I was having about what perfumes are kind of ubiquitous where I live. And I know that when I'm out in the streets, in public, the perfume that I smell most often here in Melbourne is probably Baccarat Rouge 540 or some variation of it, because there are so many copies and clones of this perfume that it is unavoidable. And the idea for this video, what got me thinking about it was that there are some very popular perfumes that I have just never liked from the get-go. Yes, we smell lots and lots of perfumes as enthusiasts, and I have definitely smelled perfumes that I initially didn't like and then over time grew to love, and vice versa as well. Like, you can smell a perfume that you like at the first sniff, then over several wears, that sort of novelty wears off and you don't like it anymore. But there are quite a few perfumes that I've smelled that I have just never liked from the beginning and over subsequent tries and re-wearings. Luckily for me, that doesn't happen very often. I went back to my Perfume profile because I'm obsessed with recording everything I test on there. I kind of just went through the hundreds of perfumes that I've tried over the years, and there's only a handful that I can say that every time I wore them, like there was nothing redeeming about them for me, to my nose, over those wears. Now, what I decided to do is, though, I wanted to pick a handful of what I consider popular perfumes that I just have never liked. Now, the criteria that I used for picking these perfumes were that they actually have a pretty good rating on Perfume, and they had to have at least 100 ratings placed on the database and needed to average 7.5 out of 10. To me, that tells me that most people who have bothered to rate the perfume on a database on the internet think that it is better, or think that it's a good perfume and they like it. So an average rating of about 7.5, more than 100 ratings, to me indicates that more people like this perfume than don't. So I'm in a minority when it comes to these particular perfumes. You might agree with me, but the data in front of me suggests not. So the first one, as I've already mentioned, is Baccarat Rouge 540. From the beginning, the first time I tried it, I just did not understand its appeal. To me, there was, apart from that sweetness, so I was and probably still am going through this phase where an aroma chemical like ethyl maltol, when it is used to dominate a particular composition, really just sort of unbalances a perfume for me. And that, as well as the way that Baccarat Rouge wears, that sort of diffusive, invading quality that it has, that reaches everyone's nose, I found really, really grating. And subsequent wearings and re-sniffs sort of have reinforced that. And it's probably been exacerbated a little bit by the fact that it became so popular that a bunch of other brands and clone companies wanted to cash in on that and basically copy that formula for themselves. So here in Melbourne, out in the wild, it is quite it is basically the most common thing that I smell around me in terms of other people wearing perfumes, and it's just never done that done anything good for me. So Baccarat Rouge, very, very popular perfume that I have never liked. The next one I want to talk about is a Tom Ford fragrance. I did review this on my channel some years ago. Well, not long after it came out, basically. That is Lost Cherry. Now, I know that this is the type of perfume where you probably need to like a cherry note that is making up the identity of that perfume. Now, to me, there is an element, I guess, of slightly negative association with that particular scent. When I first smelled it, it really reminded me of when I was a young kid. Whenever we had a cold or weren't feeling well, I know that my mum used to get this children's medicine that basically was cherry syrup flavored medicine. I never enjoyed taking it as a child. It was sickly sweet, I guess, just to cover up the flavor of it. And the moment I smelled Lost Cherry, even though it most likely does not smell exactly like that medicine, I couldn't help but think of that medicine. So I probably would have the same issue with a lot of other sweetish cherry flavored perfumes. Lost Cherry is the one that I've smelled most, and I've never liked that one. And it does appear to be quite a popular perfume for Tom Ford. And I think, it's kind of for a while there. Once Lost Cherry came out, I think a few other brands sort of jumped on that train as well. It's interesting with a few of these perfumes how they kind of spawned imitations of them. The next one that I have never liked, which I believe is still a pretty popular perfume. This is from Amouage. Now, Amouage is a brand that I admire and I really enjoy and own at least one Amouage, or in the past have owned other Amouage. But the one that I have never liked, and it was popular at the time, again, I've got a review of this on my channel, is Beach Hut Man. Now, I can pinpoint pretty much what it was that I didn't like about Beach Hut Man, and I think at the time it came out, it had this quite distinct ivy note in it, sort of this kind of bitter green vegetal note in there, intermingled. I think from memory, there's a bit of coconut in Beach Hut Man, but to me, it really just came across as a really discordant combination of notes on my skin. I got this sort of sourness, like a perfume that was going rotten on my skin in real time. And again, that could be just the way it reacted to my skin, how my nose perceived it, but Beach Hut Man is one of those perfumes where, like I see how popular and highly regarded it is, and I don't understand it, or I don't compute with its popularity. One thing, I guess, to note about it as well, it's a freshy perfume, and one that has pretty good performance, which is rare in a fresher style of perfume, and I've got a suspicion that also contributes to its popularity. But I don't know. I could be projecting a little bit. So I've never really enjoyed Amouage's Beach Hut Man. The next one I want to talk about, I have mentioned before in my videos, in passing, not done a review of it, is from Mancera, and it's Red Tobacco, the original Red Tobacco release. I've not smelled any subsequent flankers that have come out. Red Tobacco, my problem with Red Tobacco has always been that it feels like every element of that perfume has been turned up to 11. It's like the Spinal Tap of perfumes. And I have this kind of unfortunate association with Mancera's Red Tobacco, and being sort of the poster, the perfume poster boy of toxic masculinity in a way. It feels like that perfume was made for that subculture to me, and there's just the way it comes across. I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, yes, it's a tobacco perfume, but it's not even about the notes I'm smelling. To me, it's just about it how loud and obnoxious it is to me, and I don't even see it as a perfume. It's more of this kind of monolithic representation of an attitude that is prevalent in some parts of the fragrance community. So Red Tobacco is another one I've just never really liked. The next one, this one is probably one of the ones. Look, it's probably on the edge about my criteria about being popular that I don't like, but I do know that it's rated over 7.5 on Perfume. There's well over 100 ratings by users on this perfume, and this one is from the indie brand Marlou. It's Ambilux. Yes, Ambilux. And it used to be called, when it first came out, it used to be called 50 mil d'ambiguïté, and it got renamed to Ambilux. But the only issue I have with this particular perfume is that it's one of those very rare perfumes that is very, very animalic, and I enjoy animalic perfumes, but this really was just unwearable to me. Like I honestly felt like I'd soiled my pants while I was wearing. Well, I felt like I smelled like I'd soiled my pants while I was wearing this particular perfume. So there was never a stage where I would try it, retest it, and I never got used to it, essentially. So that perfume is basically a no-go forever. There are other ones like that, but they are actually more people agree with me on those perfumes. And the final perfume that I want to talk about that I have never enjoyed after at least, usually I try and test, finish a sample. So I end up wearing perfumes that I test at least 5 separate times, wearing them on separate days. This one is from Zoologist, and it is Zoologist Moth. And this one was a strange one because it wasn't so much that I was offended by what I was smelling. I never liked this perfume because of how it made me feel when I was wearing it. It's a really strange thing to describe. The Moth has this sort of atmosphere about it that is quite suffocating and claustrophobic when I'm wearing it. There is an ingredient in Moth that I find very difficult to wear and to get along with, and that's cypriol, or it's called Nagamotha, I think, on some note pyramids. And yeah, I the only way I can describe it that it is claustrophobic. I got the sense whenever I was wearing it that I was in this very enclosed, musty, tiny attic, and I was locked in, and there was no oxygen in there, and it felt like I was being buried alive. So that's a very, very personal reaction to a particular perfume. I know people obviously enjoy that perfume, but Moth was one of the very few zoologists that I found nothing redeeming about wearing. So thankfully, they were the only perfumes that I could think of that have constantly been, not like, dislike. I don't want to, hate is a strong word, but I've just never found any redeeming features about any of those perfumes and wanting to revisit them. Like I've not liked perfumes in the past that I've grown to love. Like a perfect example is Guerlain's Abbey Rouge. I didn't like it in the beginning, but after a few wears, it started to grow on me. And now, like, I can never see myself being without a bottle of that. So these are very rare instances where I'm trying a perfume a few times and it's just never, ever going to happen. And I don't actually enjoy smelling them on other people either. So that's my hate vent out of the way, and let me know about your perfumes in the comments that you will just never ever enjoy. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.